What is up, guys? It's Jimbo here, and welcome to Total War Warhammer 3. In today's video, we are going to be going through some new player tips, a little beginner's guide to get you up to speed, because a lot of people might be jumping into this game for the first time with the Game Pass that it's on, and also might be buying it on Steam if they want to check out Total War. If you are an experienced player, though, please leave down in the comment section a top tip that you would recommend, because I don't know everything. I have around about 300 hours overall in the Total War games, especially in the Warhammer ones, so I don't know everything. I might miss some stuff, but this is just going to be a generalized guide for new players. So before we do that, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. But now let's jump in. First of all, campaign. What you want to do first of all is do the prologue. The prologue is going to teach you how to play the game, just some generalized tutorial battles. It's also going to teach you the basics and the advanced techniques that you will need whenever you are in battle. You're also going to show how to manage your settlements and go across the map in the campaign map. Also going to teach you about diplomacy, also some stuff about your treasury and how to manage your money and stuff, and some narrative elements as well, which kind of sets up what is going on with the campaign, especially with the Realm of Chaos campaign. This is a really good feature. It takes a couple of hours to complete. I would highly recommend jumping into this if you are a brand new player. This is available to all players that are jumping in for the first time. After you've done the prologue, though, you're probably going to be wanting to jump into a campaign. First of all, if you go to the new campaign section, you'll be greeted with a cutscene. I'm not going to go through it right here, but there are 8 factions currently in the game. 7 if you are not a pre-order person, and I don't think they are on the Game Pass. The pre-order bonus is the Ogre Kingdoms. This will allow you to obviously have an extra faction. This might become available on Steam or on the Game Pass version of the game if you buy like the DLC for it. I am 100% not sure how that works, but yeah. What I would recommend first of all is going through each of the factions, reading a little bit about them and their bonuses. There are 4 Chaos factions and then a 5th, which is all of them together. You have Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and Tzeentch. All of these have different effects and such, and these can be difficult if they're just playing on their own, but I would highly recommend you either pick the Demons of Chaos or Kislev to start. The Demons of Chaos, you get to do a custom demon, which is really cool. You also can select the difficulty down here, and the battle difficulty. 100% recommend putting it on easy to start out, so you are able to have a lot more fun with the game and get into it. You can also go over their map starting point, some of the settings that you'll be able to have. You can change the advice frequency down from high to low to minimal. Also have unlimited battle settings as well. And a really cool feature that I would really recommend if you're looking over a faction is going to their unit and their spell browser. You can go through all of the different spells, take time reading all this through. It's very cool. You get some little animations and stuff in here, and the units, you'll be able to go through all of the lords, all of the heroes that you have, infantry, missile infantry, cavalry and chariots, missile cavalry and chariots, monsters and beasts, missile monsters and beasts, and then artillery. And just to show you, it is the same on Kislev as well. This is going to be very good because you're able to understand how all of the armies, or what the armies have to offer. My recommendation is, when you've tried out one of these factions, pick whatever feels fun to you, whatever looks the coolest, and then start to learn them, because that is the best way to enjoy the game. I am personally going to be doing a Kislev and a Demons of Chaos run because I want to mess around with the Demons of Chaos. One last tip that you can go through right here is, if you go over to the unit and spellcaster when you are looking at your races, is on the side there is a tooltip which shows you the armor, leadership, speed, melee attack, melee defense, weapon strength, and charge bonus, and all of the abilities that you can go through. Don't get wrapped up too much in these abilities, because you will learn them as you go throughout the campaign. I would definitely recommend, though, going through your chosen race that you decide to do and look over what all of their armor values are and their leadership and their speed. This is because it gives you a little tooltip and tells you what they actually mean for when you jump into battle. But before we go over campaign and stuff, let's actually jump into a battle and talk about some tips in there. Now that you've chosen an army and we're jumping into battles, when you are playing a regular battle in the campaign, you will usually get a Winds of Magic counter that you'll have to channel to see what you can get. And then you'll go into deployment, which is this phase that we are in here. Whenever you are doing any battle, what you want to make sure in the beginning when you're just learning the game is look over all of these UI elements. It will teach you some of the different things. The prologue will also do this as well, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Another cool thing is the key bindings. These are going to be key to helping you out in game, especially when you want to do specific things with specific units, i.e. Draw their movement or change their position, select multiple units, etc. In the top right of the screen, you do have the pause, slow motion, play, forward, and then fast forward. If you are a newer player, I would definitely recommend playing on the play button, or even just pausing it whenever you're going to make a tactical decision or a tactical move, so you can reduce the micromanagement that you'll have to do. And it also gives you a time to analyze decisions that you're making and just have a little bit more fun winning more battles. Another neat feature before we go over all of the different units and understanding them, if you press K when you're in game, you can go nice and close to the units and check them out and go and analyze them. It's really cool just to see the different models that Creative Assembly have made. Look at this big boy right here. This is the elemental bear. This is really cool. And we also have the snow leopard and then the ice queen right here herself. And then we just have some of the corsairs at the front. This is for Kislev. Now, this may not be the case for every single unit, but we're going to go through all of the unit types just so you have a little bit of an understanding. Let's first of all do the easy ones, monsters or beasts. First of all, we have a war beast, which is the snow leopard. It has its stats. It is very good against anti-large, which essentially anti-large is units such as the elemental bear, or anti-large can also be the cavalry or the war bear riders, those types of things. Those are what are considered anti-large. Even giants or really big things is what you can really take into consideration when you are talking about anti-large. Monster, on the other hand, would be the elemental bear. They have these little tooltips that I would recommend reading as well, alongside the armor, leadership, speed, melee attack, etc. This is definitely something that you should learn, so when you go into your type matchups against the enemy, you will understand. They also have their abilities at the bottom of here. They also have abilities on the sides of their portraits or on the magic section. Lords and heroes are generally ones that have a lot of magic. In this case, Katarina will learn spells as she goes through the campaign. You'll learn more of these, and we'll go through those in just a moment. But once again, it shows up their stats. Lords and heroes, some of them are spellcasters, which are very good against enemy like anti-infantry, and some of them are good in 1v1 duels. So she's a spellcaster. She doesn't really want to go up against anyone that has really good sword skills or very good melee attack and weapon strength, because she'll probably lose out there because she doesn't have much armor. Another unit or cavalry unit would be the bear cavalry. These guys are good against anti-large. They have armor piercing and such, and these are different, like a monstrous style unit that you'll go up against. But then there's also things such as the winged lancers, which are shot cavalry. There's regular cavalry and missile cavalry, and these all are good at doing different things. The shot cavalry essentially is you want to get them into battle, do a charge, and then pull them away from the battle so they don't get into too much prolonged combat. Then we have your missile infantry, and in this case you have some hybrid units, i.e. like the armored corsairs with the great weapons. But this unit right here, the corsairs, I don't know how to pronounce this properly, but yeah, I'm going to butcher these. These essentially are, generic bow infantry, ranged infantry that are going to be able to fire a certain distance. You will be able to see on the map their overall range when you select on the unit. It's outlined in green. I believe you can change all these colors if you really want to. And these are the guys that are going to be hitting things from distance. You also have frontline units. In this case, we have the Sar Guard. They are good against anti-infantry. There's other infantry that are very good against anti-large. So paying attention to these tooltips for each individual unit on whatever army you're playing is very key. Lastly, if we go over the ones with great weapons, these are sometimes a bit stronger than the Sar Guard, or they could be stronger than other units. Like, they're more specialized damage dealing units, and you'll understand it from that perspective. But that's just a generalized overlook of the different units that you will see. I'm no expert. I haven't got thousands of hours in this game, and I'm just trying to explain it in the simplest of terms for people that are new. To further elaborate on what we just talked about when it comes to the different units and what they are strong against, for example, here we have the Celestial Dragon Guard. These guys are anti-large, armor piercing, and they have the Harmony of Yang. They also have a charge defense against all. If you go over to the enemies or the opponents that you're going to be going up against, you can see on this screen that they will have a green icon against their name, or it might be red, or it might be a yellowish color. I'm not too sure if there's any colorblind modes that will change this. Essentially, this means that the unit that I have selected are very good against the other unit that I have selected against them, going up against them. So it means that they could potentially have a good battle against them. It shows that they are a low threat. But for example, if I pick the Jade Warriors, they will also have the same effects. But if I pick the Peasant Archers, you can see these guys in melee combat are not going to have a good time because they are a ranged unit and they're not very good at melee combat like these guys here. For example, if I pick the Celestial Dragon Bowman, it's the same. If I pick the Spearmen, they're not going to be very good against the Lord. They are going to be very good against the Peasant Archers, and they're going to be semi-decent against the enemy's Celestial or Peasant Longswordman, or the Celestial Dragon Swordsman, as I've said. For example, the Peasant Horsemen, they're going to be terrible against the Spear Infantry because they have anti-large. These will be able to stop the cavalry, and you can see how the rock paper system starts to play into effect. You would want to make sure that you are going into the back lines and taking out Peasant Archers with your cavalry, and the same with the Flyers. They're going to be pretty good against all of them because they're up in the air. Let's get into a situation though and talk to you about some tactics and general setups that I would do with an army. Now that I've started the battle, let's talk about a little mini formation that I have set up and what you want to do to best protect your front lines and also certain units. Your archers aren't going to be very good in melee combat, so you want to keep them in the back, but you also want to keep them close enough to the enemy so they can be within their green range. What you can do as you advance or you play a little bit more defensive is you can have your Peasant Long Spearmen sat at the front ready to go when you need them, and they'll be the ones that engage the front line of the enemy. But in the meantime, you can push your Peasant Archers up a little bit further to get them into range and then back them off by selecting an area that you want to move them to, and essentially have the Celestial Dragon Guard take over, or in this case the Peasant Long Spearmen, go into the battle as your front line. Then what you can do is move your archers into a position to fire across the front lines, which will allow you to do a bunch of damage. I'll get an example of that in just a moment. Over here in the bushes or in the trees, I have my Peasant Horsemen. I am keeping these guys in a secluded location because what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the enemy in, and then I'm going to allow them to go behind the enemy and hit their Peasant Archers. A good thing here is I have my Sky Junk in this guy over here that has a ridiculous range that is going to allow me to hit things from a very big distance. Another thing you can do when you are in battle is you can activate spells by using your Winds of Magic. In this case, you have the opportunity on your abilities from your Lord, in this case, to transform into a dragon, or to have an increase or like a buff to your units, giving them melee attack, which is really cool. Or you can use Earthblood, which allows you to replenish your allies' health, or you could use Storm of Shadows, which is a hex ability on a specific unit. So for example, let's do the peasant long spearman, and then when we activate this again, the Lord will be able to use that, slowing them down, allowing for my archers to be able to do more damage. If we go and engage our peasant long spearman into the battle, what I'm going to do right now is if I click onto my horse unit and pause the game, I can hold shift and I can drag a path that I want them to take to hit into the back of the peasant archers. I can also make sure my Lord transforms into a dragon, and I can also make sure that my swordsmen are just chilling in the background. I use these, you can use these as a front line, or you can use the celestial dragon guard and the peasant long spearman. So if we let the battle play out a little bit more, you'll be able to see everything go on. You'll be able to see these guys go into the back. We have our dragon in the battle as well against the Lord. We'll send in our dragon. They're already routing. The peasant horsemen are now going to smash into the back of the archers. And there we go. We do a bunch of damage. And we can pull them out of combat because we don't want to keep them in there for too long. We can have the dragon attack the Lord. And then essentially you just be able to kill different units. If you have guard mode on, it will stop units from chasing after them. But if they aren't on, I can get them to chase after this. And as you can see, that's a very easy victory. That was all done in just a few moments. Very, very easy. A lot of things going on. But if you really want to, every decision that you make, you can pause it and then you can slow it down and let it play out if you need to. But then once you get the victory, end the battle, and there you go. You'll win your first campaign battle of there. So let's go through some of the campaign tips and wrap out the video. Now let's talk about campaign. The first thing that you'll get when you start any campaign is a little bit of story, but you'll also get a how they play screen. This essentially introduces you into a faction's mechanics, how they play in battle, and also a little bit of information on how they work when it comes to the campaign map. In this instance, we've picked Cathay. They are all about yin and yang. They get aspects and elements that help them do more damage, buff them, get them more abilities, get them more money and such, if they have a balance between yin and yang. And this will be explained on all of this stuff here. You can also click through and learn a little bit more when it comes to the races if you go onto the lore screen. But if we open up the world events as well, if we skip ahead, you will get your first mission to start out. And missions are essentially little objectives that you can complete in order to get treasury. You also get heroes, or you get different effects that you can do. And in this case, we have to go and defeat an army belonging to the following faction, being the Rebel Lords of Nanyang. Also here, when you start out a campaign, you'll get access to a army, which is your first army. You can spend some time learning the different units, as we've just discussed. You can also see the Winds of Magic Reserve here as well, which will help them. The different stances, which you will be taught about in the prologue. And then also on the top of the screen, you'll have your treasury, your predicted income. You'll also have your harmony, as you can see here. If I have them equal, I'll get better diplomatic relations. I'll also get better construction costs, better growth, control, etc. And then you can see the Great Bastion threat, which is another mechanic when it's specific to Cathay themselves. So that's pretty much when it comes to the campaign. A lot of this will be taught to you via the prologue. Faction specific stuff, you could spend a whole video just going over individual factions, but I just want to get you up to speed with the campaign. But there you have it, guys. I would highly recommend going and doing the prologue because it teaches you a bunch of stuff about the game. This isn't the most elaborate guide. This is just me giving you some tips as a little bit of advice for those new players that are jumping in. I would highly recommend going and checking out a bunch of the Total War creators that bring out guides, faction overviews, and much more, because they are very, very good at what they do. I'm a massive fan of the series, and this is the first time I decided to make some content on this, seeing as it's coming out tomorrow as of this video going live. So hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, please leave a comment in the comment section. If you're a new player and you've stayed all the way through to this, thank you very much. If you're an experienced player and you've skipped at this point, thank you very much for watching. Leave some tips down in the comment section if you are a new player or you're fairly experienced in that sense. And hopefully you enjoy your time with Total War Warhammer 3. But as always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you want to check out more content. Turn on that notification bell as always. And this has been Jimbo. I'll see you guys next time.